If you could sit across from your 18-year-old self, not in a dream, not in a montage, but in a real room, 2 chairs, 1 table, one honest conversation, what would you say? And I don't mean the highlight reel advice. Work hard, don't waste time, follow your passion. I mean the stuff you only learn after life teaches you the long way. Because at 18, you don't realize you're carrying a backpack full of beliefs that aren't even yours. Beliefs you borrowed from pressure, from fear, from people who meant well but were still projecting their own wounds. So picture it. You walk into the room, and there they are, your 18-year-old self. Same face, just softer. Same eyes, but still hopeful. Still trying to prove something. Still convinced they're late, like everyone else got a map and they missed the handout. They sit up a little straighter when they see you, because you're older now, so you must have it figured out, right? And you can feel it, that tightness in their shoulders, that fake confidence, that need to look like they're okay. So you don't start with advice. You start with a question. Are you tired? And your 18-year-old self laughs a little, like it's a joke, but their eyes answer before their mouth does. Because they are tired. Not from doing too much, exactly, but from trying to be enough. Trying to be impressive, trying to be chosen, trying to be loved without being too much. So you lean in and you say the first thing they actually need. You don't have to earn your worth. And they blink, like they've never heard that sentence in a language they understand. Because at 18, love still feels like a scoreboard. Grades, looks, likes, attention, approval. But you've lived long enough to know the most exhausting life is the one where you keep auditioning. So you tell them, stop performing, start living. And they look confused because they still think the goal is to be accepted. So you tell them something that might sting at first. Some people won't like you, even when you're perfect. So you might as well be free. Then you watch their face change, because freedom is tempting, but it also scares them. At 18, they don't want freedom, they want certainty. So you give it to them the only way you can. You're going to make mistakes, not because you're stupid, because you're human. And here's where the conversation gets real, because your 18-year-old self wants to know what to avoid. They want a list. Don't date him, don't take that job, don't move there, don't trust them. But you don't give them the list, because life doesn't work like that. Instead, you give them the compass. You say, pay attention to how people make you feel in your body. If you feel small, anxious, confused, or constantly on edge, that's information. You pause. And if someone only loves you when you're easy to control, that's not love. That's a leash. Your 18-year-old self swallows hard, because at 18, they still confuse intensity with intimacy. So you say it gently. Don't chase chemistry that feels like chaos. Choose what feels like peace, even if it feels boring at first. Then you watch them look down at their hands, and you realize they're carrying shame. Shame about not knowing, shame about being behind, shame about being sensitive, shame about wanting more. So you do something surprising. You apologize. Not for everything that happened, but for the way you treated them in your mind. For years, I blamed you. I called you naive. I called you weak. I replayed your choices like you ruined my life. Your 18-year-old self looks up fast, and you say, but you were doing the best you could with what you knew, and you got me here. And something in the room loosens. Because sometimes the most healing thing you can do is stop bullying your past self. Then you tell them what you wish someone had told you earlier. Your timeline is not broken. At 18, they feel behind if they don't have everything planned. But you know the truth. Life is not a straight line. It's a series of pivots. So you say, you're going to change your mind. You're going to outgrow people. You're going to start over more than once. And you smile a little. And it will not mean you failed. It will mean you listened. Because the older you get, the more you learn that clarity isn't found by pushing harder. It's found by getting quieter. Now your 18-year-old self asks the question they've been holding back. Are we okay? And you take a breath because you want to lie and say, yes, we're perfect, we have it all. But instead, you tell them the kind of truth that heals. We're okay because we learned. We're okay because we kept going. We're okay because we stopped abandoning ourselves. Then you tell them what really changed everything. The moment I started setting boundaries, my whole life got lighter. And your 18-year-old self leans forward. Boundaries? You nod. Yeah, I learned that no is not rude. It's a roof. It's protection. It's peace. You can see them trying to imagine a life where they don't over-explain, so you give them a line they'll use for years. You can be kind and still be unavailable. Then, because you know 18-year-old you talk about the future they're secretly worried about. Money, loneliness, success, purpose. And you tell them, stop spending your life trying to be impressive. Build a life that feels honest. Because applause fades, but peace stays. And before the conversation ends, you give them one last gift. Not a warning, not a prediction, a promise. You're going to become the person you needed. And your 18-year-old self smiles, small, cautious, but real. Then you stand up. And as you walk toward the door, you turn around and say the final line that changes everything. I'm proud of you, not for what you achieve, but for surviving what you didn't talk about. And when you step out of the room, you realize something. You didn't just speak to your 18-year-old self, you healed them. And maybe you healed you too.